So, Formula One, the Baku Grand Prix 2025. And Max Verstappen, once again, he delivers and wins with an amazing performance. A 14-second gap to George Russell. Fantastic performance. Fantastic. I mean, once again, he showed why he is, in my opinion, he's the best driver on the grid right now. Once again, he showed it why he is the boss. Once again, Max Verstappen, amazing performance, amazing performance. And so yeah, once again, amazing performance from Max. He absolutely destroyed everybody in this race. And the pace of Red Bull, to be fair, was very good. Was very quick. It seems like they brought in the new floor in Monza, and it worked. And he won over 20 seconds in that race. And this race, he won over 14 seconds. Dominant drive from Max Verstappen. Dominant performance once again. And he again, fantastic performance. Yes, the car of Red Bull is better more now, and it's suited to Max's strengths. But at the same time, you have to, say that Verstappen, like, once again, he showed why he's the best driver in Formula One right now, and especially in qualifying, where in the most difficult situations, circumstances, when there was a bit of rain, lots of people crashing, he showed why he's the best driver. Delivering in the most precious moments, and he did that fantastically well. So, well done to Max Verstappen. Brilliant performance from him. And is he back on the title race? I'll talk about that. Second position, George Russell. Very good drive from him. He got the strategy right with the pit stop, the timing of the pit stop, and he got the strategy right. Delivered a very good race once again. Especially he's been sick all weekend, had illness. For him to drive in that way, fantastic performance for him. So he deserves lots of credit. Carlos Sainz finally gets a podium for Williams. Not finally, because Williams is not like have had many podiums this season, but it's the first podium of this season for Williams, and they deserve it because they've been very good this season. And Carlos Sainz as well deserves it. He's not had the greatest luck this season. But in this race, he was fantastic. He defended quite well against Kimi Antonelli. Very good performance. He deserved the podium. Congratulations to him. Fantastic performance, and for sure, that sticker he has in his helmet. He needs to drive that helmet every single race, because that's a lucky charm for him. But yeah, great performance from Carlos Sainz, and happy for Williams and James Vowles, because this has been a long time coming. The way they've became better as a team, like from the day that James Vowles joined, very good. So fantastic, and I'm so pleased for Carlos Sainz and for Williams. Kimi Antonelli fourth. Liam Lawson had a very good race, finishing fifth. Yuki Tsunoda defended well against Lando Norris, finishing sixth, and I'll talk about McLaren, the two McLaren drivers later. Seventh, Lando Norris. Yuki Tsunoda, good performance from him. Sixth position, I think it was best result of the year, and defended well against Lando. Ferrari, not the best day. McLaren have not sealed the constructors yet. And speaking of the McLaren, let's talk about the two McLaren drivers, because, like Lando Norris, this was an opportunity for you to take it. First of all, let's talk about Oscar Piastri. What a terrible weekend it's been for him. Like, I was so shocked how bad he was. Like, people can have off days, even in, especially in tracks where it doesn't suit you. But this is the same track that Oscar Piastri won, really, and he was fantastically good last season in Baku. Like, people can have off days, but I was so shocked how bad he was. So shocked. Like, it was like, what is this? Is this Oscar Piastri driving or Nicholas Latifi? Because oh my god, he almost crashed in. I think he hit the wall in practice. He crashed in qualifying. He crashed in the race. He jumped the start, and led to him losing a lot of places. And what? I was surprised how bad he was. He received that 5-second time penalty for the false start, so he's not going to carry that penalty to Singapore. For people saying that, but again, Albon also received that 10-second time penalty for causing collision. But Oscar Piastri, very bad, very bad. I was surprised how bad he was. so shocked how terrible he was in this race. And I'm pretty sure we're not gonna see, this is the first DNF that Oscar suffered. He's been run off amazing streak of constantly scoring points. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna learn from it, and he's gonna get better. And I'm pretty sure we're not gonna see that kind of performance in the next races from Oscar, unless this massively affects his confidence. But let's see. Speaking of the other driver from McLaren, Lando Norris. I mean, I tried to defend Lando after qualifying and say, listen, points are scored on a Sunday. He has drivers around ahead that are ahead of him that he should finish second. I can't defend him because, first of all, he lost the position to Hajar, and then after the Oscar Piastri crash, the safety car restart, lost the position to Charles Leclerc, caught sleeping. I mean, what was he doing? Right? Poor once again, and he took too much of a time to pass Leclerc, right? And he had so much time, enough laps to try to pass Yuki Tsunoda, and he didn't pass him. Lando Norris needs to stop being this cautious. Yes, I understand you don't wanna sometimes you need to be cautious, you need to be careful, because he went for it in Canada, and he crashed against Oscar Piastri, but that was different. He went for a gap that didn't exist. Whereas this, he had the gaps. He had the gaps to go for it. He had the gaps. He had it. But he's too cautious. Too cautious. And what I will criticize on Lando is that I remember before the start of this season, I remember him saying it to the people in the media and to the world, saying that this season I'm gonna be nasty. Huh? Oh, I learned my lessons from last season. Oh, I'm gonna be aggressive. I'm gonna make it more difficult for other people. I'm gonna be a villain. I'm gonna make people hate me. I'm gonna be very, very nasty. I'm gonna be, drive over the limit, no matter what. I'm sorry, Lando, but in life, you can't fake nastiness. Especially when you're trying to win the championship, my friend. You can't fake nastiness. The only two times I've seen from Lando where he's been actually nasty, where he got his elbows out in the first lap in Monza against Max, and when he defended quite well against Oscar in Austria. Other than that, where is this nastiness that he's promised to the people? Where? Where is it? Where is it? Where is the nastiness? Where is it? And he needs to stop talking. Stop talking. Deliver on the track. This was your golden opportunity, my friend. Oscar Piastri having probably the worst weekend of his career, of his life, right? In terms of, not personally, but in terms of being a Formula 1 driver, the worst. And this was your golden opportunity. Basically, Oscar Piastri gave him 2 open goals for Lando Norris to score, and Lando Norris missed both of them. Oscar gave you both chances to score, and you missed both of them. And yes, we could criticize McLaren for, once again, another terrible pit stop. How many times we've seen a terrible pit stop from Lando Norris? How many times? Slow pit stop in Silverstone, slow pit stop in Zandvoort, slow pit stop in Belgium, slow pit stop in Monza, and now slow pit stop in Baku. To be fair, let's look at Silverstone. It didn't matter yet because he won that race. In Belgium, it kind of mattered because the gap between him and Oscar got bigger, but Oscar was better than him, so he deserved that win, but it also played a role. In Zandvoort, those two, it didn't matter because it was during a safety car, so it didn't matter. In Monza, it created a terrible situation, the team orders and everything, that kind of stuff, even though Lando still finished second in the end. And then this. It cost them 2 places. What are you going to do now, McLaren? You going to ask Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda to give the position back to Lando? Is that what you're going to do? Honestly. And all this BS of fairness of McLaren, all that kind of, how many bad pit stops we've seen that? How many? We saw, we've seen them deliver a good pit stop for Piastri in Monza, right? And I think that was the fastest pit stop. Why is the fast pit stops are on Oscar's side and the bad pit stops on the Lando side? Why? And that was the only pit stop they had to make. The McLaren mechanics should be questioned massively. They need to question massively. How many times? Like, honestly. And also, and let's be honest, McLaren were not that fast, so it kind of played a role. They were not that fast. They were not that fast. The Red Bull were very fast. They were not as fast as Red Bull. People say, "Oh, Lando's making excuses," but if you look at this weekend, if you look at qualifying race, Red Bull were very, very good. Let's not act like Red Bull were, oh my God, they were absolutely nowhere. And then Verstappen he had to rely for a miracle to win it. No, even Yuki Tsunoda performed really well. So. Yeah, McLaren were not good, but again, you have to capitalize on opportunities. At least finish fourth, at least finish third, at least be up there. Like, don't be far away. He finished the same place he finished. He started in qualifying. What is this? Listen, and people also talk about, oh, it was lost on qualifying when he went out first. Listen, I understand that it was not it was not the right decision in the end, but I understand why McLaren did that. Because there was so many crashes, so many red flags. They had to make sure that Lando put a lap in before anything happens. Okay, it didn't work at the end, but I understand why they did that. But this, I'm sorry, I cannot defend McLaren for this terrible pit stop. I can't, and I cannot defend Lando Norris as well, because that was a terrible performance. Losing places to Hadjar and Leclerc, struggling to overtake Tsunoda when he had enough laps to do that. Like, what is it? Poor, terrible, very poor. This was your golden chance to take advantage, to get as much as points as you can, and instead, Lando actually got 6 points. Where actually, if he won the race and Oscar finished second, the gap difference would have been bigger in terms of points. So, like Lando, I'm sorry if you don't. Oscar has had the most terrible weekend you can have ever imagined. And if you don't take advantage of your rival crashing all the time and having a terrible weekend, I'm sorry, you don't deserve to win the championship. You don't deserve to win this championship, Lando. You don't deserve it. If you can't take advantage of your rival crashing all the time, you can't take advantage of it. You can't. You don't deserve to win the championship. You don't deserve it. I'm sorry. I can't defend him. Very terrible. Terrible. Absolutely woeful. And yes, some things have again, another bad pit stop which could have got him P5. Because if that bad pit stop didn't happen, most likely he would have been 5, according to Collins in Sky Sports, one of the pundits, and she's very analytical, she's very clever as well. She's logical as well, not like some other pundits who act like they've been in the sports for a long time and they've been experts, But at the same time, Lando Norris should, he cannot put mostly on that moment, that bad pit stop. He has to look at his own performance. If he did everything right, then there would be no complaints. Like in Monza, he did everything right he can to maximize from the car. Okay? But this I cannot defend. Very terrible, absolutely terrible from him. And then in terms of the Constructors' Championship, McLaren haven't won it yet. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, the gap is between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris at 25 points, which is the total points of a race victory. And Max Verstappen is now 69 points behind Oscar Piastri. And with the pace of Red Bull has been looking good, is Max Verstappen back in the title race? Look, if you look at the remaining tracks for Red Bull, all of them they can win all of them, except Singapore. I think, and it's also a high downforce track, which is not going to suit Red Bull because the other tracks like Monza and Baku was a low downforce track for Red Bull, so it kind of suited them. But I think if Max Verstappen wins in Singapore, I think he's back in the fight because he can win other tracks as well. He's always strong in Mexico, and we all know what he did in Brazil last year. So I think if he wins in Singapore, then I think he's back on. But for now, 69 points it's too much in my opinion. So as much as people want to believe and be delusional like Max fans, I can understand it. But to be honest, it's difficult. But if he wins in Singapore, I think he'll have a chance. That's it, guys. Thank you. I wish you have a nice day. See you next time and have a nice day. Bye.